Okay, so for official purposes, I'm going to again welcome all of you to chat with Matt. Our special guest this afternoon is Don Minges, who's going to be talking to us about my favorite topic, which is the only constant in the entire world, and that's change. Don has a delightful presentation for you. He's got, I don't know, 80 slides, so he's going to be going through them pretty quick. Don't blink, or you'll miss something. And anyone who wants to make comments, our group chat is open. My wife Peggy is on board, and she will be watching the chat very carefully and interrupting Don from time to time, as I might, to ask questions, because that's what this is all about. This particular chat with Matt is 60 minutes, and we're going to try to end on time. But it's a little bit more than we normally do. We've been normally doing 30 minutes. But I think we have so much material, as I said to Don, he has so much material that I want him to have all the time he needs to present this very important topic to you. So at this juncture, I'm going to turn this over to Don.
Okay.
And Don?
Yes, sir.
You can do whatever you want.
All right. Well, I'm a spoiled person, so I'm going to take over and get this thing rolling, Matt. So I'm going to share my screen with everyone else. Now, Matt, you're a sailor, right?
I am.
So what does a sailor do when the wind changes?
You adjust your sails.
You adjust your sails. Do you yell at the wind? Do you get mad at the wind?
No, yeah. The story is you have to sail the wind you have.
You
not
have
the
to
wind you wish you had, not the wind you deserve, but the wind you have.
See, that's a great way to talk about change, because there's 3 points I want everybody to take home today. First is change is another word for opportunity. Second is we, by nature, all of us fight change. And third, we don't notice as much change as we should. When we don't like, humans can change so many things. We can change our environment. We build structures. We build houses. We have air conditioning in our houses and in our cars. So we can change everything we want to our liking. But that doesn't mean we can control everything, which drives us batty. So those are the 3 takeaways. So does everybody really notice how much change is going on? I'm going to start with that. Look at these. Look at these traffic signs. Everybody, I would imagine, understands what they are. The one in the upper left corner. Do you really know what that says? It's not a trick question. This is a school sign, and it was discontinued in 2009. The one on the right was discontinued in 1971. This is the yield sign today. Most of us were thinking, hey, I've seen those before. No, they're not. Those are no longer active. We miss a lot of change. Another example, think about the Japanese tsunami in 2011. When it hit, it killed over 10,000 people, and it moved Honshu, the main island of Japan, 8 feet to the east. It was a tragedy, but the economic impact was startling. It had an impact on Boeing. It had an impact on the iPhones and iPads being shipped. All kinds of electronic devices came out of Japan. Over 20% of the world's semiconductors were manufactured in the area, and they all had to shut down. Why is the screen black? Because the only place in the world that made the color black to paint automobiles was made in a factory nearby. You could not get a black car after the Japanese tsunami in 2011. The supply chain broke. Sounds similar to what's happening today, does it not? Similarly, we got just a very few small number of producers for beef, chicken, and eggs. And as plants close due to the virus, there are and there will be production shortages. Apparently, we have not learned the lesson of concentrating production and expecting the change to never occur again. And remember, this was predicted over 100 years ago in the Pulitzer Prize-winning book by Upton Sinclair called The Jungle. Go back and check. This was predicted over 100 years ago. So this is nothing new. So change is around us every day. Goodness gracious, look why we're meeting how we're meeting today, Matt, instead of being live, which is the way you and I love to meet. So think back to New Year's Eve, not that long ago, but gosh, it feels like eons ago, does it not? Think back to New Year's Eve. We were celebrating, looking forward to another year of health and prosperity. The new year was full of promise. We were all celebrating. And then what happened? We could have never forecast what would and did happen, what's happening to all of us right now. Today is a great example of change. We all have to wash our hands. I did not see anybody today on the call who was wearing one of these, but if we all went out, we would all be wearing one of these, right? That's another change. This is something we have to deal with on a regular basis, and we fight change. Who would have ever thought that there'd be no Seder? Synagogues would be empty. Nobody in church for Easter. Who would have ever thought that if we had gone back to New Year's Eve, which not that long ago, and said that very same thing? We said, no, you probably had way too much champagne at New Year's celebration. Change is the word of the day, and it is the sign of our time. And Matt, you embody this because you live change as a sailor. You don't yell at the wind, you have to tack. You have to change. When the environment changes, what do we all have to do?
You have to change. But
we all have to
yell at the wind. I just want you to know.
I beg your pardon?
We actually do yell at the wind.
Oh, really? So that must be Peggy.
Doesn't do any good, but we do yell.
Okay, but at least it makes us feel better, right?
It makes us feel much better.
Okay, good deal. Have a question for everybody. What percentage of the population do you think was subject to the shelter at home regulations? What percentage?
60%.
97% was subject to shelter in home. That's an amazing statistic. Just look at this slide. The 4 weeks ending March 14th, there were over 22 million jobless claims filed. Obviously, the number is much higher. In the preceding in the previous decade, 20 million new jobs were created. In just 1 month, we had more unemployment claims than new jobs were created in the previous decade. Change is everywhere. Change is the norm. Look at my hair. People who know me long time, they go, what happened to your hair? I said, yes, I've been working with CPAs and people like me. That's what does happen to my hair. Today is not yesterday. Today is not tomorrow. And today is a unique day. We have to seize the day. There's only going to be one today. You get as much out of it as you can. It's your choice. It's your volition. Many times yesterday may seem like today, but it's not. Before the virus came, we all had our own comfortable, safe, and predictable routine. We love structure. We love order. We love logic, and we especially adore the proper sequence. Step 1, 2, 3, and 4. We knew which boxes to check, when and how. We're really good at what we do. And sometimes that night we would come home from work and we'd be exhausted and we had no work-life balance. To me, one of the great changes, and Matt, we can talk later on about what are all the positives about all the change we've had. One of the great things I've seen is, Matt, most of us have gotten a much more robust and healthy work-life balance. I can't go to the gym anymore. Some people who know me well, they go, Don, every morning you're at the gym sweating, dripping, and reading a book. That's true. I can't go to the gym anymore. So what do? I go walk with my bride every morning. And last night, Matt, she looked me in the eye with a tear in her eye and she said, can we still go walking? When all this is done, I know you want to go back to the Y every morning at 5:30 a.m. Can we still go walking? And I could only give the one answer I knew to give. Of course, dear. Change
yes, dear.
is,
of course, dear. Anything you want, dear.
Absolutely. The best
Now,
two words I learned.
I'm interrupt you. My bride and I go to the gym every morning, or at least used to, together.
Exactly. Well, my bride likes to sleep in, but that's okay. Change comes. But here's the thing about our routine. It is limiting. It is comfortable, yes, but it is limiting also. So it is both. We need to understand that. Change will come every day. Now, I'm really curious, and if we had more time, I would really turn this into a poll, but I really want to know what's working for you when you work from home. I've got some amazing examples when I lead this presentation and other presentations using this. Think about what's working for you, but the things that work for Don when Don works from home are not the same things that'll work for Matt or for Peggy or Roxanne. Everybody has to figure out what works for you. But some of the things aren't working. So what do we do if they don't work? We throw them away and do something else. So I want you to be cognizant of what's working for you and learn from others. And if you want to take the time to send me what your feedback is, Matt, I promise I will collate it and prepare it and present it to the entire thing.
Oh, that'd be great.
This is really important thing. We all need to learn from each other, because I'm a big believer in the Japanese proverb, no one of us is as smart as all of us. So why do we always look for patterns? Well, because humans hate it when we see change. What do? We cry like a baby. We scream at the wind. We hate change, especially change to our precious routine. We're mad. How could this happen to us? If we don't do this on the outside, I know we do it on the inside. So the real question is, why do us humans, why do we all of us fight change so hard? And it's in our nature. Yes, it is in our nature. We humans are geared to look for patterns. Human brains are hardwired to look for patterns. This is one of the skills that enables humans to thrive and survive. We sometimes even create patterns where no patterns exist. And lots of scholars like Dan Kahneman and Amos Tversky and Dan Ariely, they will actually quote the same thing. We look for patterns, and if we can't find them, we will create them. So what do we do? Why do we do that? Because it makes life easier to understand. Think about the explanations that people want about the numbers we present. Do they want an elaborate, detailed, lengthy, full description? No. What do they want?
Just the bottom line.
Give it to me short and sweet. People want things short and sweet, and they're looking for patterns. But we know that at some point we have to face reality. And then creating patterns will create fallacies. And that's when the patterns we created fall apart. And then we have to recognize that life is three things. Life is not easy, it's not simple, and it is not predictable. So again and again, we create patterns. But why do we do this? Again, it's because of our greatest asset. Our greatest asset, this thing between our ears. Now, hopefully yours is better than mine. What's between my ears is mostly concrete, as many of you who know me can attest. But our brain causes us these problems. So we also know that in some circumstances, an asset can also be a liability. Well, our brain is. Our brain wants there to be patterns, even when there's none to be there, but it'll create it. So we have frustration. This is the source. Our brain doesn't like change. So in the old days, when you met someone, Matt, the first thing that I would do, and I am so looking forward to doing this with you, I'm so looking forward at some point in time, I get a chance to actually shake your hand.
We'll be wearing rubber gloves, of course.
And that's the truth. We'll be wearing rubber gloves. So exactly. How many conflicts or imbroglios were caused by one party who refused to shake the other person's hand? Shaking hands is a sign of respect, trust, and shared understanding. This is the expected custom. I recall personally the very first time that I shook hands in business. It made a profound impact on me. Matt, do you recall the very first time you shook somebody's hand as a professional?
No, I don't really. No.
But doesn't it mean that you're an adult? It's almost a rite of passage, is it not?
Uh-huh. Sure. In the world of business, sure.
Absolutely. It's
John?
mutual. Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you a question. I agree that, and I've always stressed shaking hands, but what do you think when somebody like Dr. Fauci says, we should never be shaking hands again. We should come up with a new form of greeting. How would you respond to that?
I'm going to go to the next slide. I'm going to go 2 slides ahead.
Okay.
Will shaking hands be a casualty of the coronavirus? That's my concern.
Mine too.
Well, Don, in the military, they salute each other. That's the greeting. And the salute actually originates from just showing someone that you had nothing in your right hand.
Exactly.
To kill them with.
And the reason why you extended your right hand was for a reason. That was your clean hand, right?
Yeah.
The
Right.
left hand was for other duties
purposes.
that are not as clean. So that's why you always extend your clean hand. And the Romans would actually shake hand with the other hand over the forearm. As you can see, I'm demonstrating. The other hand, the Romans would shake hands that way because they wanted to make sure that there was no dagger up the sleeve.
Yeah, there was a question that somebody wanted to know, what about the bow, like the Japanese do?
We could do a bow, we can do a salute, but my concern is that is going to be the norm, and I'm going to have a hard time adapting. But you know what? Who's going to have to change? I am, and we all are. This is a concern of mine. This custom goes back to the 5th century BC. So today, what happens if somebody sticks their hand out to shake? Peggy, what do? We run. We're grabbing for this, and we put our gloves on, and we run. You know me, I've got to make fun of everything, especially on a Friday afternoon when you guys have been so kind with your time. I can see a few of you smiling. So this is another change that we're all going to have to deal with, and it's a mind-bending change. It can be absolutely futile for us to fight the change, but we do it nonetheless. So I hope I've made the case. We need to be aware of change, and we also need to be accepting of it, because change is an opportunity. Now, before 2017, no one could have ever imagined a huge rainfall in Houston, Texas. No way in the world that could ever happen. Nothing like it. Nothing like it at all. Hurricane Harvey was a Category 4 hurricane that made landfall in August 2017. It tied Hurricane Katrina as the costliest tropical cyclone on record, and it primarily flooded all areas of Texas. But no one thought it could ever happen. Change happened, and it may happen again. Just because you've never seen something doesn't mean it won't happen again.
Don, there was another question, and this person says that there have been, I'm trying to find it, there have been many plagues since 500 BC. So why stop shaking hands now? That's the question on the table.
Population density. That's what the experts say.
Okay.
I've got the statistic later on in my talk, and I'll flip through to it, but I believe with the Black Plague or the bubonic plague that hit Europe and Asia, it killed anywhere between 75 and 200 million people.
Wow.
75 and 200 million people was the Black Plague or the bubonic plague or the Great Plague, whatever you wish to call it.
Wow.
And it reduced population. It took Europe over 200 years to get back to the same population level as before.
Wow.
So pandemics are not new. Just because we haven't seen one in our lifetime doesn't mean that it won't happen. Just because we haven't seen this kind of rain like in Houston, that doesn't mean that it can't or won't happen.
Actually, somebody just wrote in, Mary, I'm trying to find it, I lost her now, said that she worked in Houston. She said, I worked in an office in the early 1900s, and Houston flooded regularly, not at the level of Harvey, but every big rainstorm.
We were ignoring all those little ones until the big one came along. Great point, Mary. Thank you for making that. So, good one.
Yep.
How many of you here today are parents? Just raise your hand. I can see you raise your hand. Most parents have a dream for their child. When their child was young or a toddler, we hope and pray that they'll grow up strong, healthy, and happy. We take care of them. We love them. We invest in them. And our dream is that they do change. We want them to change. We want them to grow up. We want them to learn how to walk and how to talk. And then one day they get mobile. And then you have to lock everything up because they're going to get in everywhere, and sometimes they just might get into trouble. And yes, they're adorable. And then they learn how to talk, and boy, can they talk. Holy cow. And then they learn this one word called no. Oh, do they wear that word out? No. So our dream is that they become an adult or close to it. And then what happens? Oh, they become teenagers. Oh my goodness. There's only two words that describe teenagers: attitude and hormones. Roxanne, I see you laughing. Attitude and hormones, that is teenagers. So the children change because we wanted them to change, and they do. And they do change, and we got what we wish for. They walk and they talk. And now what do? We change our dream. Our dream now is we wish they would shut up and sit down. The child change, and change is natural, but we change. Change is a natural, and it cannot be stopped. I told you you might be laughing today. Of course, you got to look at me. That'll make anybody laugh. It makes me laugh. Now, today's topic about change, it is singular, just one word, but it has lots of meanings. Pocket change, seasons change, fashions change. You may change your view or have a change of circumstances, a change of clothes, or a change of all kinds of variety. Nothing ever stays the same, especially us. I'm not the same person I was yesterday, and I hope I'm not going to be the same person tomorrow. Dinosaurs like a Tyrannosaurus Rex, they didn't change. So the only thing we have left of them are the fossil records. So let's talk about change literally, the change that's in our pockets. 20 years ago, I think most of us used to carry around change. I don't carry change anymore. Most I carry around now is $20 cash. And everybody under 30 years old, they think that the one way you can pay for everything is a small piece of plastic that you run through a machine, and that's how they pay for everything. Who has pocket change anymore? Nobody. Even change has changed. So what do you think? What is your opinion? Is the rate of change changing? What do you think?
I would suggest the rate of change has increased dramatically over my working career.
I think so too. But I know you're a numbers guy, Matt, and everybody here is numbers people, and they want facts, not opinion. So let me give you some facts, okay? Hold on with some facts on, is the rate of change accelerating, decelerating, or staying the same? Let's look at this. How long did it take to get to 1 billion with a B users? It took Microsoft Office 22 years to get to 1 billion users. Gmail took 12, Facebook took 9, and Instagram, which is also owned by Facebook, Instagram only took, I think, about 6 years to get to 1 billion users. Do you notice a trend? Let me give you some more facts, okay? How long did it take to get to 50 million users? Well, the old-fashioned telephone book. Who remembers the old-fashioned telephone book? The Yellow Pages? Exactly.
Sure.
How long did it take to get 50 million users of the telephone book? 75 years.
Don, how
Yes.
long do you think it's going to take Zoom to get, in light of what we're doing, to 50 million users? Because I'm sure we're not there yet, but we're.
I don't know. I think we're there.
Well, maybe we are, but it
We
must
could
have
very well be
happened-
there.
It must have happened very quickly, right?
It happened very quickly. And Peggy, this is one of my biggest complaints. I would love to do is reach out and shake that person's hand for asking that question. So I'm going to have to do this just instead,
That was
okay?
me. It was my question.
Oh, it was your question. Well then, okay, Matt, your homework assignment is to give Peggy a hug from me.
Okay, done.
Can you do that?
Although I have to tell you, we're social distancing.
Oh, then it's your loss, buddy. Don't complain to me about that. That's your loss. Yes,
So
Zoom, I think.
Just a random fact. In 1996, when I took over the FENG, out of a room of 20 people, how many people had email addresses?
Ooh, out of 20 in 96, 2?
3. And I was one of them.
And I bet both of them were at AOL.com.
Yep. And by the second meeting, everyone in the room had an email address. So 2 weeks later,
So
I've got an email address.
that, Matt, is proof of leadership.
That's also proof of the speed at which technology, even back in the ancient times when we had candles powering our computers, how quickly people adapted to technology.
Exactly. You can see the trend line here. Angry Birds took 35 days to get to 50 million users.
Wow. Really?
35 days. Okay. So I want to hear from somebody smart. Matt, in your opinion,
And why are you calling on me?
I'm picking on you because you're handsome. At least that's what
Okay.
Peggy tells me, and the camera doesn't lie. So Matt, how has the recruiting industry changed in the past 20 years?
Well, first of all, the job boards, I knew they really weren't going to work. And they've come and gone in various ways.
Mhm.
The next victim is, although there aren't many alternatives for non-financial jobs, is LinkedIn, because it really doesn't do what they say it does. And that's going to be a problem. For the recruiting industry, there aren't really all that many people left in the search business. It's rare I talk to anybody in the search business under the age of 60. And some of them are my age. I'm in my 70s. You don't talk to very many young people anymore. So, and the people on the human resource side who do recruitment for companies, they are just young people, and all they are keyboard jockeys.
Mm-hmm.
So it's changed dramatically, and a lot of the information that we hear about how to do your resume and so forth is simply not true, because it's based on what they're doing for lower level jobs.
So Matt, what you're really telling me is the better question is what has not changed, and the answer is almost nothing, right?
Well, to a degree, some things have changed and other things have not. Obviously, there's fewer people involved in the whole search process. But at our levels, at least, I hope resumes are still being read by people.
Mm-hmm.
You have to distinguish. The market is stratified, right?
Go after the niche where you're a good
There's
fit.
a lot of candidates. The cost of applying is zero. It's not even a postage stamp. And the recruitment community, what's left of it, that use LinkedIn, even 2 years ago, I had lunch with a retained recruiter. He was using, other than financial jobs, which he uses us for, when he goes on LinkedIn for a general management type job, he gets 500 responses. And that is not a good thing.
Oh, so change is everywhere, and sometimes we don't notice it. Another example, when I was in college, my friends used to joke with me a lot. If I ate a hamburger, half of it would go to my beard. I'm the guy who has the 5 o'clock shadow at 8 o'clock in the morning. And yes, I've shaved twice today because I want to look good. But when I was in college, I liked to date females. And I heard more than once, I'm not going to kiss sandpaper. So what did I do? I would shave. And they would all joke with me about shaving. Okay. So I still do that to this day because my bride will tell me the same thing about sandpaper. I get it. So is that the same way it is in college today? Oh, absolutely not. The young men, they don't shave. At least they don't shave their face. They want to have facial hair, which looks good. And the part that I can't fathom is what they do shave. I'm a hirsute guy. I'm hairy everywhere. I shed like a gorilla sometimes. I couldn't imagine shaving my chest. It would probably take 3 weeks, and 18 razor blades would be dull to nothing. But times have changed. Oh, if I was in college today with my hairy chin, oh, it'd be a whole different story. But that's a whole nother topic. So we'll move on from that. Think about the advice your mom gave. Remember, dear mom, my mom is upstairs, hopefully. My mom said, keep the door closed. Don't let any strangers in the house, because we don't want anybody to come in and do bad things to us. And definitely don't get in the car with a stranger. They'll take you away and never bring you back. So mom was clear with all this advice that we got, right? You remember this advice mom gave every one of us, right?
Sure.
Well, what's happened in today's world? We allow people to come into our home. Remember mom said, I'm not running a hotel here? Well, we certainly are. And not only that, we will actually go pay some strangers to go stay in their house instead of going staying at a hotel. Who would have ever thought that would have happened? And similarly, whenever I travel to give a presentation or to do a seminar or to do some consulting, I don't take a taxi cab anymore. I hit the one button on my phone. Lyft sends a car to come pick me up. It could be an axe murderer. I don't know. I don't care. All I do is make sure it's the right license plate. I hop in. I'm written down on my phone. I'm reading my book, and they can take me wherever. That's the world that we live in. It's not the world of our mothers. And so what would mom think about today's world? She thinks the world has gone upside down and we are all crazy for ignoring mom. God bless you, mom. I love you and I miss you. So when we were young, we did something stupid like getting in a car wreck. Matt, I felt like a fool. I was ashamed and I didn't want to show it. I would hide. I wouldn't tell anybody. I would do everything I can to pay for it out of my own pocket. Now, when young kids make a mistake, what do? They take a selfie and they post it on TikTok and they're bragging about it. Totally different world than what we used to live with. The world is continuously changing. So I'm going to use some other examples I think that are pertinent. Think about President Bill Clinton. Presided over a humming economy, did a good job, but he's remembered for one thing and one thing only: the affair. He wasn't the first person to have an affair in the White House, probably will not be the last, but he got caught in a lie. And what happened? Every one of us no longer believed in the presidency or government or politics nearly as much. We don't trust our leaders. To me, that's a sad change. Change happened to all of us, and the impact is still felt today. On to the next president, George W. Bush. This unlucky man was president when the terrorist attack on September 11th, the single deadliest terrorist attack in world history. Fundamentally changed the economy, fundamentally changed air travel forever. President Bush did not ask for it, but change happened to all of us, and the impact is still felt today. On to the next president, the 44th president, Barack Obama. This unlucky man was president when the economy crashed, 07 and 08. Remember the Great Recession? It wasn't that long ago. The worst economic downturn since the Great Depression. Fundamentally changed the economy, caused many industries to change, especially banking. President Obama didn't ask for it, but change happened to all of us, and the impact is still felt today. On to the current president, Donald J. Trump. This unlucky man was president when the virus pandemic occurred this year. Do you think there's going to be something noteworthy of change that will happen to the next few presidents?
Yes.
Something to consider. For many people on the planet Earth, our attitude toward change can be summarized by one word. You can see it right there. And no, I'm not talking about that river in Egypt. I'm not talking about denial. What do we do when we think about change? We stick our head in the sand and pretend that it never happened. Change happens everywhere, and Matt, it even happens in the world that we live in, the world of accounting. When I was in college, I learned about the big three financial statements. I believe that everybody else learned the same. Balance sheet, income statement, sources and uses, or statement of cash flows. These are fundamental and the most useful in any and every business. But when I left college and got into what I call the real world, the only one that mattered was number one. No one did number two or three. If they did, they did when they paid attention to it. So what happened to what we learned in college? Is that right? No, but we had to change. Accounting is not immune to change. This is just a smattering of the examples of the financial accounting standards that have been issued solely on revenue recognition. And I'm not going to go through all these because if you ever have a hard time going to sleep at night, all you have to do is read anything from the FASB, and I swear that is better than Nitol or any kind of cocktail you can have. It'll put you to sleep so fast. But change happens even in our world. All this about how to recognize income. And here my next question is, if you go back and look over time, revenue recognition changes at least every 4 years. So when is the 5-step rule? When is it going to be replaced by something else? So yes, even accounting is subject to change. And the volume and degree is sad to me. What happens when IFRS comes on? Will it come on? Will the politics allow it? What happened to these key fundamental principles of accounting? What happened to these? What about conservatism? What about consistency, comparability, materiality, and the ever-present matching principle? Don't these still apply? Isn't accounting more dynamic than you think it really should be? In my opinion, it is. This impacts all of us. Also, when I was in college, there was only one way to record accounting transactions. One way and one way only, GAAP, generally accepted accounting principles. And now, how many different ways are there acceptable ways to account for any and every business? You can do it on a cash basis. You can do it on a tax basis. You can do private company accounting. You do IFRS for SMEs, and you can do OCBOA. All of these are acceptable. The question I have is, how many auditors can actually audit anything other than GAAP? And number 7, OCBOA. Isn't that a frightening word? It sounds like something fresh out of a horror movie. Beware, the OCBOA is coming. Oh, there's an OCBOA on the horizon. Watch out. We need to get the kids and move. All of these are now acceptable methods of accounting. Change is rampant in our world and also in the world of accounting. So let's go back to the very beginning of accounting as we know it, okay? Luca Pacioli was a Franciscan monk. He is referred to as the father of accounting and bookkeeping because he was the first person to publish a work on the double entry system of bookkeeping, published about 500 years ago. Pretty much since that time, we've been accounting for leases as leases for the most part. We expense the payments as incurred. There's no asset because we do not own the asset. We've been accounting for leases pretty much the same way all this time. Then what? The new lease regulations. Oh my goodness gracious. Change happens even to accounting. Most bosses understand that if you want to get a different result, you have to do something different. Most bosses understand that change is necessary and inevitable. It seems logical, at least it does to me. This is the way all of us needs to be approaching life. Everyone needs to change. Everyone means every one of us. But let's shift and look at it from a different perspective. What about the bad bosses? What do the bad bosses do? The bad bosses want everybody else to change. And why? So they don't have to change. To me, this is proof of a bad boss, someone who is totally not in contact with reality or any other human on planet Earth. I've got a friend who went to work as a CEO of a Fortune 5,000 company. And the chairman of the board brought him on board. He wanted the business to be turned around. My friend knew how to turn around. He did tons of turnarounds. And every time he wanted to change something, the chairman said, well, you can't get rid of Mary. She's been with me for 30 years. Well, Mary's running a system that worked 30 years ago when we were 0.1% of the size we're at. We need to change the systems. We can't change the systems because Mary's going to get mad. So the chairman wanted my friend to change the results, but not change anything else. Does that make sense?
I want to interrupt you because somebody just posted something that said that they had just checked that on Reuters, VentureBeat, Zoom's activity users jumped from 10 million, ready to this, to over 200 million in 3 months.
Somebody gets a gold star. 10 to 200, is that what I heard, Peg?
That's what this person said. 200.
Wow.
And then somebody else says, well, that's been disputed, but who knows? Obviously, it's a lot more than 10 million.
Yes. Regardless, that's one of the things, Matt, we like to say, that's a good problem to have, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
If business goes up that much, that's a good problem to have. Wow.
You know what?
200.
You know, one thing that has changed in this world, Don, is we used to sit around drinking a glass of wine and arguing about facts, and you can't do that anymore because everyone has a phone and they look things up.
Not only that, but one of the things that changed that bothers me, this is a personal note. Matt, I remember when we could agree to have a difference of opinion. Facts are facts and opinions are opinions, but To me, too many people present their opinion as a fact when it's really only an opinion.
Right.
Well, no one knows what the difference is anymore, Don. That's the problem.
That's a change I'm not a fan of, Matt.
I know.
And, you know, I'm the cook in my family. And so my bride, she likes to eat bell peppers. It's the most horrendous tasting thing on the planet. But I love her and I will cook bell peppers for her, even though it stinks up the entire house and I have to open the doors and the windows to get that funky smell out of the house.
Mm-hmm.
Just because she likes them doesn't mean she's bad. We can all agree to disagree, and we don't want to do that anymore. And
Well,
back to this one, we want others to change so that we don't have to change, and that's stupid. That is stupid because change affects every one of us. And in today's language, there's no immunity to change, is there? None. Love the comment.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
Pat.
would, yeah, what I would say is when you're looking at opinions, the whole key is that each person should understand the other person's perspective. And understanding your perspective doesn't mean I agree with you. That just means that I understand your perspective and you can understand mine. And I think that's where people are going. They want, if you understand my perspective, well, you should agree with me. Well, no. What do you think?
Peg, I understand that childbirth hurts, but I can't really empathize. I've seen it, but and I would be lying if I said I could truly empathize, correct?
Correct.
And it would be disingenuous to say that I empathize. But I do get credit for at least attempting.
You
And
do.
everybody has their own perspective. And again, I go back to no one of us is as smart as all of us. You get to learn from different people's perspective. Just because they have a different view. Again, I'll use my analogy. I've done the calculation. Matt, it's like 8% of the world. There's a certain chemical in bell peppers. People like me, it can't get past my gullet. No, it just won't make it. It's 8% of the world. And there's people out there who don't like cilantro. I think the number for that is like 12 to 14% of the population. And that's okay. I don't like bell peppers.
Don, I don't want you to run out of time.
We're going to be good. We're going to be good to go. I've got an eye on it,
Okay.
Matt. We're good.
All right.
We're good. Age equals change. When a port wine is young, it's harsh, and it changes and becomes more mellow and more flavorful over time. The picture's intentional. The port gets better over time, as does blue cheese. Change is good, but the key to change is something that we all lack. Patience. Are we patient? Are we as patient as we should be? You can't force change. Change comes on its own timetable in its own way. We all change. Every one of us changes every day. We don't do what we did 10 years ago. We don't eat the same foods. We don't dress the same way we did 10 years ago. A young girl like those two on the left, you don't want to treat them the same way as you would treat this elderly gentleman. And I am digging his hat. He's rocking that hat. Everybody is different and need to be treated as such. Sometimes age can impart wisdom and sometimes not. Experience and time, what they do is they give us the opportunity to learn and to change for the better, but not everybody will seize that opportunity and will take advantage of their experiences. Sometimes we must learn the same lesson over and over and over again until it sinks in. Change is inevitable. Progress is not. Now, sometimes we look for the negative in change because we want the comfort of the same old, but that's unrealistic. That's unreasonable. Remember the maxim, necessity is the mother of all invention. Change does have a bright side. As a matter of fact, change is the bright side. Change can coerce us and give us the opportunity to be creative and make things better. Many of us have learned how to work from home. If it was new to you, or it truly was and is a learning process. Some have transitioned successfully and others not nearly as well. Again, another change we didn't want, but it happened. So let me give you one more example. And yes, it is intended to be funny. Another example of how change has forced us to get creative. The Lucky Devil Lounge in Portland, Oregon, they converted its food takeout service into a drive-through strip club. The owner had to close the 2 exotic dance establishments that the owner had because they were deemed to be non-essential businesses. So all the dancers, all the restaurateurs, all the waitresses, everybody who worked in the establishment was furloughed because the business had to shutter. So you can see the name of the owner there. The owner got creative. He decided to open up a drive-through where you can go get takeout food. You order the food online, you come pick it up. You can see in the picture there, the car is in a big, huge tent. The car drives through the tent. And I know my audience today wants to know the economics. So they charge $30 per car for one driver. And then any additional people in the car, an additional $10. You pay for your takeout food. And then you can tip as you deem appropriate. And you can also see the woman on the stage using that grabber stick to go grab her tip, which is safe and sanitary. I'm just using this as an example how we all need to be and can be creative. And yes, you can go verify this. This was actually published in the Huffington Post roughly a week ago. To me, it's a great example of being creative and something that we can all admire. I'm not saying you should go to a strip club, but something to laugh at as well. Okay?
I just wanted to be clear here, we're not planning anything like this for the FENG.
No, we're not planning like anything like this for the FENG.
Some kind of drive-through networking, no, we're not.
I'm not sure it would work that well. Sometimes we look for the negative in change because we want the comfort of the same old, and that's sad. How many of you remember something called a map? Matt, you remember a map?
I still use them from time to time.
Remember the first time you went to go pick up Peg for a date? You asked for driving directions, did you not?
Sure.
And you wrote them down. Now,
the joke is all directions where you're going to get lost ended with, and you can't miss it.
oh, I love that. And you can't miss it.
That's when I knew I was going to be hopelessly lost.
Yes, exactly. So today, we don't need to ask for driving directions anymore. As long as 2 things, the GPS works and our phone is charged, we can't get lost anymore. And that's not a bad change, is it?
So the story is Peggy went to, was a traveling speech pathologist, and she was going to a school she hadn't been to before. And she kept asking the secretary kept giving her directions, and she said, "No, I'm planning to UPS myself." I had just bought her a GPS.
That was the beginning of GPS. I have a question. Somebody wanted to know if the drive-through got the PPP loan also.
Well, I do not know, but are they aware that everyone who got a triple P loan, a Main Street loan, or an EIDL loan, they're going to be a matter of public record? Yeah, everyone who got one of those loans is going to be a matter of public record and available to be searched. It'll list the entity that got the loan and the amount. Okay. So if they're really interested, they can go verify that. Peg, that's a great question that you read, and kudos to the person who raised the point, okay? So I'm curious, Peg, how have you changed? Think about one of the ways that you've changed. Did it feel good, bad, and different when you changed?
Well, I'll go to the bad part. I now do the laundry, clean the house, iron clothes, all the things that I haven't done forever. So those are changes. And so actually, I feel like in some ways, I don't have as much free time as I had before, even though some people, because I'm doing all these things in addition to working.
Interesting. Oh, you see, I love asking questions like that because you get some amazing insights like that. One of the things that I want to talk a little bit about is what are some of the positives that I've seen from this? And again, this is my opinion, not a fact. In my opinion, I think this virus, this pandemic, has had a profound positive impact on all of us. How? It has eradicated or diminished what a lot of the medical community would say was the worst epidemic ever before COVID-19. The worst epidemic ever was never called an epidemic, and it was lack of sleep. The number of people who weren't getting enough sleep was critical, and it keys into burnout. So people, when they're working from home, they're actually getting more sleep. And I can notice a difference in people.
But my question is, one cause of lack of sleep is stress. And I think that a lot more people are, I mean, I don't think that I'm sleeping as well as I did because I feel stress that happens at 2 a.m. when I'm sound asleep and whatever. So how do you account for that?
And you're right, not everybody is impacted. I think it has helped a lot of people, but some people it has added more stress. So it's a mixed bag.
Phrase is primarily due to, partially offset by.
Matt, are you going to add those 2 initials after your name, JD? I know that's slanderous to some people.
JD?
Yeah, JD, Juris Doctor, attorney.
Yeah, attorney.
No, I'm not even a CPA, which you know what that is.
Absolutely.
So we're not going to go there.
All right, we will not go there. But yes, Peg, to some people it has helped, but you're right. Others people it has ramped up the stress. And to me, the antidote is if there's nothing you can do about it, why worry?
Well, that's been what I've tried to lecture everyone. There are 2 things. Number one, you have to focus on what it is you can do. And I wrote about this a few weeks ago. There are things we can all do. Chat with Matt was an answer to this is something I can do. There's so many other things I can't do. I can't create a place where we're all going to meet again, not for a while, and I don't even know ever, or at least for the next year. And a year is a really long time in this world.
It is, and what choice do we have, sir?
We have no choice.
There is
so
no
we have
choice.
to deal with it.
Right.
I think that you're right that we have, the choice of dealing with it. I think that the subconscious is something that, and that's why I said it's not, I think people are feeling stress and sometimes they have that outward, everything I'm doing, but then inwardly they're not sleeping or they're waking up because they you can control your conscious, but you can't control your subconscious, right?
No.
And if I can bring you back to one of your first slides, what I recommend to everyone is stop watching the news as many hours a day as you are. Because humans,
I stopped reading the papers much.
It builds on your point. Humans look for patterns. And if you keep watching the news, you think the whole world is dying. The whole world is not dying. There are lots of people dying, and it's all very sad. And the media is going to come up with one heartbreaking story after another because people are dying. Old people are dying. Young people are dying. And every story can take your heart out with a spoon. And if you watch them all day long, you are limiting your productivity. Not only during the time you're spending watching this stuff, but it affects your mood and energy levels going forward. You lose another hour after the show.
And that's, we're defeating ourselves.
Yeah.
And remember, the media, how do they make money? By reporting bad news. People want to listen to the bad news. They don't want to listen to the good news.
Do you know the one thing you can't make more of?
Time.
You got it.
I can make more money. I can't make more time.
You cannot make more time. So every day you have to make an effort to be extremely productive because you won't get that day back.
Absolutely. There's 3 lessons, 3 takeaways. 1, learn, accept the change, and adapt. Moving targets are really hard to hit. What we have to do is adapt. And I want you to think about, be the change leader, not the follower. Don't be chasing, lead. So we need to be more adaptable. And for some of us, that's hard. But you can learn to be more adaptable. How? Try new things. Here's all kinds of things to think about. Ask open-ended questions. And Peggy, there's only one way to learn. You do not learn by talking, you learn by what?
Listening.
And remember the old story, we were all given 2 ears and 1 mouth, and we need to use them in that proportion. Be as curious as a child. We can all learn to become more adaptable. Relax and just let it roll. Try something you haven't tried in years. I found a great biscuit recipe that my wife is killing me for, and it's simple and easy. So if you want that recipe,
bell peppers though, Don.
I can guarantee you there's no bell pepper within 100 miles of it,
I
buddy.
was wrong.
No, sir. Now, if you want some with bell peppers, I'll make them when it's open air and I can get my house defunct,
Okay.
and I'll mail them to you if you wish.
Don, I've been wrong before. Peggy will tell you that.
Well, I told you before, I'm often wrong, but never in doubt. So we can all work on enhancing our adaptability. I want you to look at the bright side. And the main thing, one of the takeaways is if events change your expectation. You can't have the same expectations with a different environment. Smile and laugh. And the best thing that we're good at is creating a great plan. We can do that. Smile and accept it. Winners adapt, and the others do not. So think about, I'm wrapping up now. Think about if you were to ask people in 1980, who was a great hero? Most people would have said in 1980, a lot of names would have come up, but one name would have come up. Bruce Jenner, Olympic champion, set a new world record in the decathlon, carried the American flag, married a ravishing beauty queen. You can still see she looks great today. He had lots of endorsements. He acted in TV and movies. Quite literally the American dream for men and women. This was our hero to many. Fast forward 40 years. We've been talking about change. Bruce Jenner was born William Bruce Jenner on October 28th, 1949, and is now Caitlin Marie Jenner. Successful sex reassignment surgery 3 years ago. It's not a judgment at all. If some of you are offended, you're not listening to what I'm saying. I'm full of mistakes too. But the things that were accepted by people not too long ago are no longer the case. And this is a grand example of change. This is reality. And we all have to deal with the real world. Change is universal. So as I'm closing, I want you to just think about the most amazing warrior of all, which is time. Time is undefeated and untied. But time changes continuously. You, every one of you listening in today, you are a great warrior. You accept change. You adapt to change because change is reality. But I want to take it one step further, Matt and Peg, just one step further. Who really is the greatest warrior? Every one of you. Every one of you is my hero. You're willing to change. You're willing to learn. You're willing to adapt. And if I had one wish, just one wish today, it would be that there are more people like you. So please spread the good news about change. And I want you to share this knowledge, and I hope it's just as contagious, if not more so, than the pandemic. That's the epidemic that we all want, is that people accept and learn and get better from change. Now, if I can help in any way, please feel free to reach out. Here's my contact information. And Matt, I apologize. It looks like I'm on time. I'm so sorry.
On time. So let me add 2 thoughts that are consistent with your message. Number one, if you've read the book, The Road Less Traveled, everything is explained on the first page. And the simple message is life is difficult. If you accept that, everything makes sense. And the second thing I would mention, I know my friend who said this didn't invent it, but happiness is a choice. You can choose to be happy or unhappy. It's a choice you make every day. And if you choose to be unhappy, please don't call me. I choose to be happy. I have a lot of friends. I'm 73 years old and I'm still working. I have a beautiful wife, whom all of you have seen now. And I live with my son and his family.
Yeah, well, Matt, you married up.
I am living the dream.
You married up. Folks, any of you, if I can help in any way, please feel free to reach out. And if you want to connect on LinkedIn, that would be fantastic. Please mention that you saw my presentation and you managed not to fall asleep. But thanks to you, Matt, because I wanted to present something kind of fun on a Friday that puts a smile on people's face. And you guys, the smiles that I'm getting right now, I wish I could shake every one of your hands, because I hope you had a little bit of time and perhaps learned something new that'll help you deal with all the stuff that we're dealing with.
Yeah.
On that, Matt, I'm going to turn it back over to you. Okay.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah, Don, I just want to say that I've been reading all some people had to leave just a couple minutes ago, and that's all it was. And everybody that said you were excellent, you gave them food for thought. They thanked you very much and appreciate that you took the time to give us this thoughtful, fun, and encouraging talk. Thank you, and the best to you. Stay healthy, stay safe.
All right. Thank you. On that note, everybody have a wonderful week and weekend, and please tune in for the next chat with Matt.
Yeah. We're trying to make these programs interesting. They literally are chats, and we're trying to keep them that way because our society, the FENG, is a society of friends. Everyone in our group was sponsored by a friend, and hopefully that friend introduced you to other friends. Your goal in this whole thing is to make more friends. They help you get through the day. So on that note, we're going to end chat with Matt. We have only one more scheduled at the minute. Next Thursday, we'll be talking to Sandra Long, who is our LinkedIn expert, and we'll be having a conversation with her. So again, thank you all for joining me on this Friday afternoon, and we'll wish all of you to stay safe and stay healthy, and give everybody that you can hug a hug. Take care.
All right, everybody. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.